Well, hello, Sidney. Thank you so much for being with us today. I'm so happy you could be here. And for our audience, I want to let you know that we have something very special to announce today. Sidney has some big news, so please listen in. Sidney, we appreciate the courage that you have shown in your fight for we the people. We know how hard you've fought for truth and justice and how you've been smeared and vilified for doing so.
Thank you so much, Caroline. It's a pleasure to be with you. I appreciate all the work you all and everyone in your organization has been doing to help the process. We have got to make this country great again.
Please, Sidney, update us on the status of the lawsuits that you have filed related to the 2020 election.
Well, we filed lawsuits in 4 states, producing substantial evidence of fraud, actually massive evidence of fraud, hundreds of pages of sworn affidavits from people who witnessed it themselves, video evidence of it happening in front of our eyes, statistical experts and mathematical experts explaining how it is a statistical and mathematical impossibility to have vote spikes of over 100,000 for Joe Biden at one time, that it simply cannot happen in the real world. And all of that evidence has been ignored by the 4 federal judges that handled those cases in the district court level, and also by the courts of appeals. Actually, it didn't even process through the Court of Appeals because we sought emergency relief in the Supreme Court, which has denied all of our cases effective day before yesterday or yesterday.
Wow. Do we have any other judicial relief in sight?
We do have some. We are working with attorneys in other areas that do have live cases right now in state courts in a couple of states. And of course, there's a massive effort underway in Arizona to audit the votes. And we will be hoping to get some information, significant information from that. That's why the county commissioners, or whatever their board of electors is called, have fought so hard against that. But a judge recently in the last few days has ruled that the audit can proceed. And the Georgia legislature has indicated, or the county board has indicated, it will proceed with that. So we're in the process of organizing the right people to honestly proceed with that audit.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's really good here. Well, I understand that you've got a PAC, Defending the Republic PAC. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I felt like it was important to have an organization, a political action committee, that's why it's called a PAC, that represents we the people of the United States of America, not the Republican Party, not the Democratic Party, not political operatives or anybody that has been in the swamp all this time, but we the people of the United States. So we're asking many people, millions of people, hopefully, to donate from $5 to $200. $200 is the maximum contribution you can make a year without your name having to be reported, I think, under the IRS rules or whatever, which of course we're going to comply with all rules, regulations, and laws that apply to these activities. And we certainly don't mind reporting names as required, but we want it to be a PAC for the 80 million people who voted for Donald Trump, only to see their votes eradicated and disrespected and fraudulently suppressed, including by politicians from both political parties who refused to stand up and make sure their votes were counted and allowed them to be fraudulently erased.
Well, I certainly appreciate that. And I agree with you that we need to do something. And I'll tell you, from the people I'm hearing from, they are angry. And what we need is turn that anger into activism and into advocacy. And so I really appreciate, can you give us some information about how they could contact you or how they could get involved in donating to your PAC?
Yes, for right now, sign up for emails at sidneypowell.com, SIDNEYPOWELL. We are starting to create the databases for the PAC and also for the litigation organization that we started shortly after the election to represent we the people in the lawsuits regarding the election. That's defendingtherepublic.org. We've got new websites coming live for both of those organizations by the end of this week. All the process of that should be completed. We've had people put up fake sites and take money. We've been having to deal with that. We're still working on some aspects of that. I know we've got one of those taken down in the last few days. So if you go to one of the organizations like that, go to defendingtherepublic.org, and you should now be able to sign up for updates there, but you're definitely secure at sydneypowell.com now for emails, and then we'll get the other sites up by the end of the week. We want to create an organization like you have done with Defend Florida. In fact, I'd like to talk to you more about that, and using the PAC as an umbrella organization that can help you all with your efforts there. We're going to work with the folks in Arizona on the recall efforts. We need to start recall efforts in other states for everything from county commissioners to board of electors. Every person needs to become familiar with the recall requirements in their state. And we need to primary every senator in the country and every congressman in the country, with very, very few exceptions.
Well, speaking of recall, I just want to let you know that in the state of Florida, there are chartered counties and there are non-chartered counties, and only the chartered counties have the ability currently to recall their elected officials. If you're in a non-chartered county, you follow under the state guidelines, and there is no ability to recall. So we do have a grassroots group in Florida that's trying to get a bill in the legislature to allow all counties to be able to recall their elected officials. And that should just be everywhere in the country. I don't know why it's
oh yeah, that should definitely be required. I mean, that's a denial of equal protection under the 14th Amendment right there.
Absolutely. Well, we realize that we as Americans have allowed the Marxists and the communists to infiltrate our government from the local level to the very highest offices in our land. I really see it as a failure to unify. We are divided in so many ways, Sidney. We're divided by race, by income, by politics, when in reality, we are fundamentally the same. We bleed the same red blood. We want the best for our children. We want our country to prosper. We love our country and we love our freedom. How can freedom-loving Americans take back our country, restore our constitutional rights, and elect representatives who will represent our interests and not those of corporate elites, foreign countries, and donors?
Well, we must do exactly what you all are doing in Defend Florida and what we are doing with Defending the Republic PAC. We have to we're actually far more unified. It's the politicians and the damn media and the social welfare crowd that has been trying to destroy this country. True Americans, the ones I call the engine of America that actually make this country run every day, are far more unified than anybody wants to believe. That's why they've launched this fascist attack against speaking the truth about the election fraud, even mentioning it. I mean, we just spent how many years listening to all the Russia hoax crap, having it crammed down our throats by the mainstream media every day when they all knew it was a bald-faced lie. And then the obstruction hoax, which I found out in my representation of General Flynn, was a bald-faced lie because the Department of Justice had already declined to do anything with respect to Flynn and cleared him of everything before Comey even spoke to the president. And that's what the whole obstruction hoax was based on for a year or two. I mean, there has been just a massive propaganda effort to cram down Americans' throats all the false narrative that the Democrats have wanted, from us being divided to the requirements to deal with COVID, everything. It's all been a big lie. So we've got to help educate each other. We've got to work sideways, horizontally, to get information to our friends across the board and get involved. Everybody must get involved now that cares about this country. No more sitting on the sidelines. If all you do is go to every school board meeting or every county commissioners meeting, or, everybody needs to do whatever they can do. Give $5 to Defending the Republic PAC or Defend Florida. Do something. And find the truth. Look for yourselves. They're good people you can follow on Telegram now, as long as that lasts. I understand that there's going to be a new media platform coming very shortly that should be a big help in that regard. And we're going to have to build whatever infrastructure we need to build to focus on the truth. None of us can solve a problem unless we can truthfully identify what it is.
Absolutely.
If you treat the wrong thing because you've got a false symptom, it's only going to make things worse.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And you know, that media platform is actually here. It's called Clout Hub. Clout Hub is the freedom-loving Americans alternative to Facebook and Twitter. It combines both of their best features, and there's no censorship, and they're on their own servers, so they can't be taken down. So if you haven't already, I think I saw you on Clout Hub. Actually, I think you have I don't know if it's you or someone else, but I saw a group there called Sidney Powell that had quite a few members. Clout Hub is actually co-sponsoring our Unity Summit, which you are going to be speaking at, which we're really excited, on March 25th. And in this Unity Summit, we are going to be talking specifically about how we make America free again, and talk about the concepts of uniting and coming together as freedom-loving Americans, no matter what your background, no matter what your political party. If you love this country and if you love your freedoms, you are an American who wants to preserve those rights and fight against this crazy, uncontrollable censorship and lockdowns coming from our government. So I hope everyone can join us at the Make America Free Again Summit. You can find information on Eventbrite under Make America Free Again Unity Summit. And it is free. The tickets are free. And by the way, Defend Florida does not accept donations. So any donations you choose to give to support these efforts, please direct them to the Defending the Republic PAC. Because I know Sidney's going to be working closely with all of the state's organizations like ours, our grassroots organization, to support those candidates who are running to further our interests and not their own. Speaking of other states, we're currently at Defend Florida working with several other states to develop similar types of organizations: Defend Texas, Defend Arizona, Defend Michigan, and Defend Virginia, for example. If you live in a state and you're interested in setting up an organization to defend your state, the way we are at Defend Florida, you can reach us at defendflorida.org, or you can text the word defend to 474747 and get more information about what we're doing and join in the fight to protect your freedoms. Well, Sidney, I really appreciate you being with us today. And I'd like to ask you if there's anything else you would like to add, and anything you can tell the American people about what we can do to preserve our liberties.
We will have a new case coming soon that will be extremely important. I would also encourage everyone to read Patrick Byrne's new book called The Deep Rig. It's available at his website, Deep Capture. And if you just Google the deep, well, let's use DuckDuckGo. If you DuckDuckGo to look for The Deep Rig, you should have no trouble finding it. It's been a #1 bestseller. Amazon hates it so much, they even changed the title to take out the words election fraud. They took out the entire subtitle of it. And Amazon's also saying now it's not going to use any nonfiction, allow any nonfiction documentaries to be posted, which would delete things like The Plot Against the President or Mike Lindell's documentary, which has had over 140 million views. I would encourage everybody to watch that. And there's also a short one called Unmasked that is important on the election issues. There is information out there. We will collect that information also at defendingtherepublic.org or defendingtherepublicpac.com, because we want to help people know the truth. We have to identify the problem correctly before we can solve it.
Would you recommend people see Kill Chain as well?
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me about that. Watch the movie Kill Chain that was put out by the Democrats about the very Dominion machines they now want to stifle any discussion of right now. They argue that Stacey Abrams was cheated out of the governor's race in Georgia because of that very process. And now they don't want anybody to mention it. And the country's going full fascist to suppress any discussion of it whatsoever.
Yes, you forwarded that information to me, and I watched the movie that night, and I was shocked at Democrats talking about how election machines, which now they're saying are perfectly safe, stole elections in 2018. So I do encourage people to see Kill Chain. It's on Amazon, it's streaming, it's on Hulu, I believe, as well. And
yeah, it's an HBO documentary.
HBO documentary, yes. Yes, well, fantastic. Thank you so much, Sidney. And again, I want to thank you so much for everything you do for our country. You are a true patriot and hero. I cannot tell you how much I admire you, and I appreciate everything that you're doing.
You too, Caroline. You're a real patriot too. I know you're working on it nonstop. It takes all of us. Everybody just do whatever you can do to make the country better, including
Absolutely.
practicing random acts of kindness to anyone you see.
Absolutely. And tune in on March 21st and see our Unity Summit at Make America Great Again Unity Summit at Eventbrite. Thank you so much, Sidney. Have a fabulous day.
Thank you.